Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Welcome to Sports Management Podcast, where you will hear interesting sports management professionals share their stories, experiences, and passion for the sports management industry. I am your host, Marcus Philipsson. Welcome to episode 196 of Sports Management Podcast. Today's guest is Nicola Innocentin, a strategic football executive who's transforming clubs into global icons through vision, innovation, and leadership. Nicola is a former football player who began his pro career in Italy and also went on to play in Germany, Scotland, and the United States. During his time as a player in the MLS, Nicola was able to attend a course in marketing and management at the University of Boston, an opportunity that allowed him to approach football from a managerial perspective. We spoke about his experiences as a player, transitioning into the managerial side of sports, the potential for football in the Middle East, his role as a SIGA Integrity Champion, starting his own company, and much more. Nicola Innocentin, welcome to Sports Management Podcast.
Thank you, Marcus, for having me with you.
It's great to have you on the show. You are a strategic football executive, but you started as a professional football player in Italy. So can you tell us a little bit your background of how you got into sports and how your career has been?
Sure. Thanks for the question. As many that are now working in the football business, I started many years ago as a football player. And when I was 14, I left my family to go to Parma to play, and was the great era of Parma with Buffon. Actually, Buffon was my teammate at that time. And after, I've been one of the first Italian leaving Italy to play abroad, because after Italy, I played in Germany, Scotland, and the United States. And I think that was a fantastic experience for me, beside what I've done on the pitch, because I start to understand how important it is to learn from different culture in order to adapt in any situation. And that's eventually helped me also to learn several foreign languages. And today, I'm very happy that I made this kind of experience, because doing this job internationally requires, an international view.
Definitely. And you played in Germany, Scotland, and US. So what were some learnings that you took from there that you can now implement in your current job?
Well, what I've seen that time was that in each country, as I told you before, there are something specific that you can learn and you can make part of your mentality. For example, in Germany, when I went there, I've learned to never give up. I've won or lost many games in extra time, okay? Because this is their mentality, and it was quite interesting to see how for them really the game is not over until it's really over, until you are in the shower. And also what I appreciate about Germany was the organization, the infrastructure. So after finish my playing career, I really took Germany as a good model in terms of how to organize a football club, for example. Then in America, I was there at the early stage of the MLS, but I could have feel already the vibe of what was happening. There was a lot of interest about football. They call it soccer there. Mainly at that time was a women's sports, but I always predicted that was just a matter of when the sponsor started to get interested about football, that football in US would took off. So, and actually that's what we are seeing now, with the lots of sponsor supporting the Major League Soccer, and also the recent step in of Apple getting the TV rights was a big factor, helping the league to become more famous worldwide. And of course, there was also Scotland as a experience in between. And again, that was a more, North European England mentality that also gave me a lot of inspiration at that time, but still now, because when you shift from football player to executive, then you recall your experience and you remember what was highlighting at that time.
That's really interesting. As you said, Germany is known for their structure, and you mentioned the United States and MLS, obviously. So also that you said there was a lot of sponsors, but also at some point when European players were coming over to play, and I think that must have also affected the quality on the pitch because Europe was, further along in their skills in football. So do you think that also played in making it more popular?
Well, in any country where some good players are coming, the level will raise. Sometimes people think that good player coming from abroad will, limiting the homegrown players. But actually, I see it a little bit differently. If you do well your job in terms of growing properly the young talents, you don't have to worry about the good player that can come from abroad as long as they are good. Okay, so average player are not useful to help the national player to grow, but good player, top player, they became an example for the young generation inside the country. And of course, good player who moved to US helped to grow. But to be honest, I've seen a lot of homegrown player coming out from the colleges because the American system was perfect to grow athletes in other sports like basketball, baseball, and they never really got the chance to explore soccer. What they were capable of with soccer. But when the colleges started, to build up their own team, and the organization of the championship was also a good level. Then slowly they try to they start to feed the team in MLS. That's why now in the recent years we are seeing more and more players coming from US and going to Europe, which is a clear sign of the good job that has been done in the past and they're still doing.
Definitely. And the college sport aspect is really interesting because, as you said, that's I don't know if everyone in Europe can understand like how huge that is over there. Like they fill stadiums up with college games and matches. So to
Yeah.
get football into that machine can really elevate it.
Exactly. And for what I heard from friends coming from basketball, it's also a lot of fun to see the college basketball. Sometimes even more than the NBA, because the kids are really giving all what they had to make it.
Yeah, definitely. I know I work in ice hockey, and the Junior World Cup is usually one of the highlights of the year because, as you said, like they really go 100%. This lack of routine sometimes it's more fun because it makes some openings in the game, and it's not so predictable maybe. So
Yeah,
junior sports is real fun.
it's true.
So yes, you were in the US, you were playing in the MLS, and then at the same time you were attended some courses at Boston University, right?
Yes. As I told you, I was on an early stage in MLS where the structure wasn't really clear and also wasn't that beneficial for a young international player because the salary were not high. And so to decide to move to US wasn't a money choice, was an experience choice. And therefore, when I got the possibility also to play for the college, I was doing it. By the time I was not involved with the team, and I asked it to get in exchange the possibility to follow some marketing courses. And this is another aspect that I really love about US, because I mean, when it comes about marketing and how to promote things, I think they are really the number one. So that kind of experience also remained with me afterwards, and now when I work for a club as a football executive, again, I will have a clear idea what to do also to promote what the club is doing, because sometimes, not just in football, but in every business, beside what you do right, it's also important to let the people know what you're doing, in the right way.
Yeah. So was this like the start of your sports management career? Then you started taking some courses in US?
Well, when you start to use other part of your body than just your legs and your lungs and your heart to run, you realize that your capability are just more than kicking a ball. And okay, in some cases you see that maybe you are more adapted to other type of job, but I've got a lot of pleasure anytime I could interconnect, sports on the pitch and off the pitch. And in these regards, yes, the marketing courses I took and the experience I made were really helpful to me.
Yeah, because now, I mean, you have worked as a strategic football executive. You have, you're an entrepreneur. You have done a lot of things. So let's jump into your professional career. So after now in US, you're taking some courses. How did you proceed in your career outside of the pitch?
Yeah, actually, I finished coming back to Europe, and I finished my career in San Marino, which is one of the smallest republic in the world, but is in Italy. And I had to figure out how I could remain into football, because the majority of former football player, they go for getting a coaching license, for example. They take that way. I decided to take some time, you know, to understand what was more attractive for me, and I started just to travel within Europe, watching games of mainly young national team. And I find out that during the game, I was capable to identify who were the young player with something special, with a special talents. And probably, having been a pro player helped me in this process, because I was noticing things in those young players that actually I used to see in senior players. Okay, so when you see some movement, something regarding, of course, technical skills, but also something related to the personality of the player that you see when they will be 18, 19, 20, that can forecast what this player can become. Of course, he needs to be placed in the right clubs to continue his pathway. But I find out that I was good on actually scouting players. And this is how I got my first job after finish to play. And I became head of recruitment of Bologna in Serie A. And when you're working for a middle-sized Serie A club, it's not easy, because you don't have a lot of money to get good players. So the recruitment, it's very important. And actually, you can mistake any player, because you don't have a lot of money. The player you have to take, you have to make sure are the one fitting for the club. And after my period as a head of recruitment, I decided to step out from the club and take my own way as a football agent and intermediary. The reason was because I felt limited in just have to look to some player that were fitting for the club. And and because I saw many players that actually were fitting to other clubs, I thought, why don't try, to become an intermediary, a kind of consultant for the clubs. And this is what I've done. And actually, in the transition period, I also enjoy to organize pre-season camp for professional clubs, because I thought that that would have been a way to get closer to the club for the period they were, making the preseason, enough to build a kind of relationship, and that's worked out perfectly. And that's why I made my first training camp with the Turkish club. And the Turkish club, after the training camp, invited me to Istanbul. Was a club called Gaziantepspor. And while in Istanbul, I managed to bring to Galatasaray, to one of the best team in Turkey, Roberto Mancini. And that for me was, the transfer that brought me into the big circle. Okay, with the big agent and the people that were moving top player in the business. And okay, slowly I understood that I was able to stay in that loop, and more and more I was convinced to continue in a off the pitch career.
Wow, it's that's really interesting, and to see how things like fall into place. As you said that you were first scout, and then to see that you wanted some more out of this. That not only one club, you can do more clubs. So that led you to agent, that led you to camps. Really interesting, and also the camps, of course, not a good place to see new players as well. When you go to these preseason camps, who's
Sure.
maybe they have some new players that show potential that you can see for some other clubs.
Yeah. But somehow I wanted to make those kind of experience because I felt that sooner or later it would have become a moment where I would have completely swift again into a club or a federation. And I think that the more experience you made, along the way, the better would have been to lead, a club, because you can speak and you can tell people what to do if you never do it yourself, in my opinion. Okay, so the more you try to go vertical in different aspects of football, the more you understand some important dynamics. And by saying that, I tell you that after I made the transfer of Mancini to Galatasaray, I decided to take another challenge in my career. So I accepted a proposal from a great Italian company called Macron, sports clothing company, who now I think it's amongst the biggest one in the world. After Nike, Adidas, Puma. And they asked me to open up the market in Germany and Austria, because again, I played in Germany and I speak German, and I took immediately this challenge because I wanted to understand exactly how it works in the sales and sports marketing, in sports, in football. And I served 4 years as a sales director for Germany and Austria, and it was a fantastic experience because it really completed me and making me feel more comfortable when eventually later I would have occupied a position as a technical director, CEO, or sporting director.
Yeah, you have done a lot of things like a strategic advisor, sporting director. You started your own company. So, is it your curiosity that leads you to do different things, or why do you think that you have tried so many different things within the sports industry?
Yeah, I just wanted to give myself more opportunity to help people in the football business by sharing my experience and my knowledge. Because I think there are two types of people, not just in football, in every field. There are the one that do the same things for all their working career, and there are the one that are getting different type of expertise along the way. Of course, the majority are linked to the same field. Um, Otherwise, it became an hobby. Okay, so sometimes people that became good at something different and not related from his job, it's because they want to, have a good hobby. But I love so much what I do that that's my hobby. You know, I don't think when I work, I don't feel and I don't think that I'm working. Because I'm so passionate to do what I do that this curiosity and passion help me to dig all the time into different aspects. Just to make you an example, if I go to work for a club, the first people I talk to are the kitmen, okay? Because I want to know if they have what they need, okay, and how I can help them to do their job in a better way. Because people always see presidents, CEO, top football executive, but they have to understand that a job well done, need when the people that are sustaining the club, that are on the base, are happy.
Yeah.
Because they are like the basement of a building. The building can go higher as much as it's possible if you have a strong basement. So you have to make sure that the people, that are part of the core of the club are happy, and they have all what they need to do the job properly.
That's a great quality to see everyone like their unique value to the club. As you said, not only see the CEO, but everyone who's worked for the club has an important function, but in different parts.
That's true.
Your own company, Global Football Service, that you're still running. Why did you decide to open up your own company, and what is the scope of this company?
Well, because normally, people or clubs or entities like federation, academy, they tend not to give enough credit to a single person. So they are used to deal with, especially in the country that now I'm very active, which is Saudi Arabia. They tend to play a safe card, which is okay. Let's ask to Deloitte, McKinsey, those big consultancy, PwC, to be those big consultancy agency. I don't have anything against them, and I am just a tiny mouse compared to them. But I felt that I had to give an identity to what I'm capable to do, together with the people that I've selected as a consultant. Because, of course, I think when it comes to deliver a job that requires several professional people to be involved, you have to just choose wisely, the best person you can, and put together a team like the coach tried to do when I tried to put the best 11 together to play again. So this is the duty of a football executive off the pitch. You have to put together a team of experts able to deliver what is need to be delivered, and as well when it comes to the consultancy, the expectation of the client is to fulfill fully their request. So setting up an agency and involving other people in outsource, I think was a good move, and I can confirm nowadays that was a good idea.
And you mentioned the Middle East, you're working in Saudi Arabia and Dubai. So how do you see that region in like its opportunities and challenges to grow football?
Of course, they couple of years ago when they took Cristiano Ronaldo, they really made an important statement, saying loudly and clearly, guys, we are here, we'll be here, and just see what's gonna happen. And of course, they went the extra mile in every aspect, and the country start to feel this energy of changing momentum, and it was flowing everywhere. Really, I started visiting Saudi Arabia 8 years ago, and I never remember that the country changed so quickly like Saudi Arabia. because of course the financial capability help you a lot to speed up, to shortcut the time. But also the vision is clear, was clear when it comes to restructure sports. So they restructured the Saudi Pro League. The Saudi Pro League draw the way how club has to get organized. They start to bring in a lot of top players, and of course. By doing that, yes, they did also some mistake on the way, but everyone does mistake when you need to change something in his life. It's just part of the process. You don't have to be afraid of doing mistake. And the country now, got secured the World Cup 2034, and this is gonna be a very important milestones for them, because it is not in 2 years, in 4 years, in 10 years. So to keep it up 10 years, it requires a lot of job, a lot of changes, and they are already very actively on that, because they started to build a lot of training facilities, stadium, and all those things requiring professional people that are coming to Saudi and filling the position needed. So it's an opportunity not just for Saudi Arabian people, but for everyone in the sports business.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, the funds they have them, but there are some cultural differences between Europe and Saudi, and also some criticism to some of the laws that they have and so forth. But have you felt like that, when you will adapt your strategies with taking into consideration local customs and expectations, has that been difficult in that sense?
Well, as I told you, the kind of experience I made in the past make me understand that you need to adapt to the local reality. Okay, so you cannot just bring your knowledge and your expertise that was based on a different country, culture, habitude. You need to reinterpret all your knowledge, all what you know, and see if it works also in that country. Because, like other region in the Gulf area, the weather is a big factor. The culture is a big factor to be considered. And that's why the copy paste model. So if you want to replicate the Premier League model or the Serie A model in Saudi, it won't work. It won't work. You need to build a model that fits to that reality. Of course, getting as more knowledge possible, it's important, it's crucial, but you need also to bring in people capable to adapt. Because if you bring people with knowledge that pretend to change, what is there, they will fail.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean that you have that experience of lived in different countries and worked in different countries. So I guess that you're up to speed now with accustomed to the locals.
Yeah. Because again, when I first visited Saudi, it wasn't because I got a job proposal. I visited as a visitor. I wanted to understand. I wanted to face the challenges that anyone who come to Saudi at first would eventually face. And understanding the situation everywhere, not just in Saudi, help you to address the action afterwards. Okay, so when somebody that never visited a country think a coach, for example, I know I'm great, I'm a great coach, I can go there and succeed. Yes, you are right. If the country is similar to yours, okay, but if the country is way different, pay attention. I'm not saying you won't succeed, but pay attention. So becoming humble when it comes to perform as a professional in a different environment and in a different country, it's very important. Because if people see you with this kind of approach, are also happy to transfer to you all their culture, attitude, and then you can match this factor, this aspect with what you know about something, about football, for example. But you cannot really try to change centuries of culture, or the climate. You won't change. The climate is that. So if you want to train in the morning, for example, you can't. You have to train late evening, just to give you an idea. And if you force the team to train early morning, it's a disaster. You'll be rejected.
Yeah. So if we flip like that question, so are there any lessons that now when you have been in the Middle East that you have taken from their way of working that maybe could be implemented in other regions?
Yes, of course. I've learned that without money, it's difficult to do things. But if you have the money and you don't have a plan, money are not enough. Okay, so sometimes because they have the financial capability, they think that they can skip some part of the process. But for example, what I told them all the time is, guys, if you ask a pregnant woman to deliver a baby in 3 days, it won't work. Okay, so even if you give to this pregnant lady $10 million, it won't work. Okay, so you need to understand that independently for the money you can pull into some project, you required some time to get what you need to get. And what I really liked about them is their vision and their passion, because when they really want to do something, they get together and they work until they don't think's done. And this mentality and also cooperation amongst them, it's really nice. It's really nice. Sometimes, unfortunately, I have to say I am Italian, and I see that in my country there are too much talk, and not equal amount of action with the talks. In Saudi, if they tell you that they want to do something, then you can be sure that sooner or later they're gonna do it, and that's something good.
So I know also that you are a SIGA Integrity Champion, and SIGA is a partner to this podcast, and I'm a really fan of their work. So how did you get involved with SIGA, and why is integrity and transparency in football so important to you?
Yeah, I really care about SIGA because I think what they are doing is great, and I think it's also very much needed because beside FIFA and the federation, there are very few, if known, independent controller in sports, and I think the guideline that SIGA are giving to clubs and federation are very important and also not difficult to be followed. So integrity, good management, social responsibility, all those aspects, are important when you are in a business that can have a strong impact to everybody' life. Because a football club, it's bringing together, depending of the size of the club, 10, 20, 40, 50,000 people, plus the million of fans that there might be around the world for some club. So the power to transfer information and also to become a good role model for a club, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Sometimes the clubs and the people in the club do not realize that. And the reason why I was called by SIGA to become one of their ambassador is because in 2015 I started a charity association called Unbeatables that raise awareness regarding sudden cardiac death in athletes. And this is one of the aspects that I wanted to bring into the SIGA world, because again, the social role that sports club could have is tremendous. And when it comes to deliver information, educate people, in this case particularly, how to save their life and the life of others, I think that's something really important. And they also believe that was important to speak out about this situation and others that regard the social responsibilities. Gilberto Silva, for example, is also a SIGA ambassador, is speaking out about the cyberbullying in sports, which is another important argument, because those famous athletes are so exposed, and they become easy target, and not everybody is capable to handle properly this amount of hate and cyberbullying, especially if they are very young. So as you can see today, football is not just let's go to the stadium and watch them playing. You keep connected with them 24 hours a day if you want. So the player became really very exposed, and all the people around the club are vulnerable in these regards.
Definitely, and really important things to bring forward, and a great work that you're doing with your charity.
Thank you.
Looking ahead, what are your inspirations now for Global Football Service and your career in football going forward?
Currently, I started last September to help the Minister of Sports of Saudi Arabia, in particular Mahad Academy, to identify the best Saudi talents at a very young age, so 14, 15 years old. And I create a pathway for them in Italy, in a fantastic international boarding school called Age Farm, Human Farm, where I take them from Saudi. I bring them to study first. I make them adapt to a different environment. They start to eat differently, sleep better and more, and of course also train in a better way. And then I found a club nearby, because this place is near Venice. It's 15 minutes from Venice airport. And I registered them with the Treviso, that is a club that used to play in second and first league in the past in Italy, that now is in fourth league. And for FIFA regulation, you can sign a player, non-European one or foreign minor player, only in an amateur club. Okay, so first of all, I wanted to see how those young kids are reacting to the change of environment, because that's already a big change. And on a second stage, I understood what type of model I can create for them for the next future. So actually, next year, we're going to have more kids joining the program, and they will play a midweek friendly championship with the top Italian team. And that's a way that I think will help a lot the young Saudi generation of player to grow, and not grow just in Saudi, but making experience abroad, like I did when I was 14, for example, in order to either start their football career in Europe or go back to Saudi, but already with the 3-4 years with a different mentality and approach to the professional football. So that's currently what I'm doing. On the other hand, I'm now talking with some club in Europe and in Saudi again, with the possibility to come back and work to Saudi as a sporting director or technical director, because I got my FIFA diploma in club management last May, so it's 1 year now. And that was a fantastic experience that lasted 22 months. And thanks also to this diploma, I really feel more comfortable now to work internationally and covering different positions. It could be sporting director, so more close to the technical area, or more to the executive area. but both for me are good. I feel comfortable to work in both.
Sounds good, and safe to say that you will keep busy also going forward.
Yes, for sure.
So I'd like to finish with a networking question. So who from your network do you think would be a good guest on this podcast?
Well, there are many people that I appreciate in football, but for sure, I would love to recommend you to have in your podcast one, if not several, of my colleague of the FIFA diploma in club management, because this diploma, more than what you learn from the diploma itself, is the type of network that you can build. Because just to give you an idea, it's a program that FIFA created 4 years ago by selecting the people to take part of the program. So they receive every time more than 500 application, and they select only 40 people to get into the program. And those people are from all over the world. So you can have the vice president of River Plate, for example, the president of Talleres de Cordoba, the team manager of Liverpool, a variety of professionals in the football business covering all the world. And again, I invite you to interview some of them, maybe the guy in Japan that worked for Kashima Antlers, that can, very inspiring to understand how in Japan they handle everything, and which is different than in Singapore or Brazil. Okay, so to give an international view of how football is perceived in those countries, I'm more than happy to connect you with them, and then you will decide who's going to be the next.
Thank you so much. That sounds really interesting.
My pleasure.
Nicola, thank you so much for taking the time to be on Sports Management Podcast.
Thank you, Marcus. All the best, and I hope to see you again soon with other news.
Thank you for listening to the Sports Management Podcast. Please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought about this episode. If you want to get in contact with me, send an email to sportsmpodcast@gmail.com or hit me up on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram @sportsmpodcast.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.